hope you've been enjoying the festive baubles, presents, candy canes and goodness knows what behind each one of our windows. And today we're going to be asking Richard, in this most unforgettable of years, what's been the most positive miniature wargaming thing that you've learnt about during our 2020 lockdown period? Looking forward to hearing this one, mate. It's been quite the year, so let's have your thoughts about what's been good about it from the perspective of our hobby.
Lockdown's been full of surprises, really. It's obviously been a tough time for everybody, but nobody more so than those who've lost loved ones. Losing those we care for is always a time for grieving and always a difficult time, but this must be amplified when we feel we've been robbed of precious years together by a pandemic that seems so random in the way that it affects people. In terms of life generally, as well as wargaming, I think we've all been surprised at how adaptable we found ourselves. At the outset, we were thinking in terms of weeks, maybe a couple of months. But nearly 10 months later, we're still finding our lives blighted by it. But through all of that, I think we've all found ways to continue doing things that we did before. We found ways to get our shopping. We've found ways to look after our loved ones. We've found ways to have fun and enjoy our hobby. Ways that maybe we wouldn't have thought of before. In the first lockdown, Nick and I ran several Kriegspiel games, and Jeremy has run 3 virtual Lard events, which have been a huge success, and like Topsy, just grew and grew. I think virtual Lard, and I really have to thank Jeremy for his efforts in launching that, and me being completely blind to the opportunities that presented, just hadn't thought of it. But I think virtual Lard was the trigger for many of us to say, yeah, do you know what, I can actually do that. Having gone from a drought in tabletop gaming, I'm now at a point where my week is a frenzy of playtesting. I mean, some of it's solo in the office, but that's very much the minority. Far, far more of that is being done long distance over Zoom and other media. I mean, I play with a bunch of guys down in Canberra using Skype. Every Friday morning for me and Friday evening for them, developing a set of Cold War rules. And actually, I was in awe of the technology at first. I was quite capable of logging into Discord and going along to virtual Lard, but I thought I could never run a game like that. But in the end, I took the jump, ran a game, and do you know what? It's easy as long as you've got 2 devices with cameras. It really is simple. For me, this was the big lesson that will change the way we develop rules. This isn't just a change, a temporary thing that allows me to continue existing in lockdown without going insane. It's a skill that, and it ain't much of a skill if I can learn it. It's a skill that, or an ability that I've learned that will change the way things are done in future. With Infamy, when we were playtesting that, or at the very outset of that, I travelled 400 miles to show a game to one of the playtesters, 200 miles there, 200 miles back. I'm now playing with him every week without either of us leaving our houses. We're getting a game in of What a Cowboy, which is a set of rules that he is developing. Now, this isn't just a revelation, it's revolutionary. We've discovered ways of doing things that we would not normally have considered. And I think that despite all of the inconvenience and suffering caused by COVID, we need, if only for our own sanity, to look at what we've learned and see that as a positive outcome. And we can all hope that as we go forward into the new year, that we're going to see movement and progress with the vaccines. That means that within relatively short space of time, we're going to be able to get back to normal. But I have to say that normal is going to be a new normal. It's not going to be the normal that we had before, because we've learned how to do things that we would previously never have bothered to look into. So for me, the positive and surprising thing about lockdown is that it has been positive in many, many aspects, and will certainly be an experience that we'll never forget, and also an experience we shouldn't forget, because there are tools that we have got now that we simply didn't have before. Remember, lard is for life and not just for Christmas.